Have you ever walked away from someone who seemed kind, even warm, yet felt a strange weight pressing on your chest? They didn't raise their voice. They didn't insult you. In fact, they smiled, nodded, and said things that sounded like they cared. And still, as you left, something inside you felt smaller, like a piece of your confidence had quietly been taken. That's how the most dangerous kind of harm works today. Not with shouting or sharp edges, but with a gentle touch that hides a blade. You won't see the wound at first. You'll just notice you second-guess yourself more than you used to. This isn't a lesson about labeling people as evil or living in fear. It's about building what I call emotional immunity, the ability to see through any mask, to stand in your own worth no matter what someone says or how they act. Over the next few minutes, we'll walk through 5 subtle patterns that can drain your strength without you realizing it. But we won't meet them with anger. We'll meet them like a Stoic would, calm, clear-eyed, and unshakably grounded. Because once you can name them, they lose the power to write your story. That choice stays with you. The truth is, the world has always had people who hide sharp intentions behind soft words. But in our time, they've learned to use new tools. It's no longer just whispered gossip or a quiet nudge to make you doubt yourself. Now it's the carefully crafted message in your inbox, the half smile on a video call, the public compliment followed by the private seed of uncertainty. They won't storm into your life with obvious demands. They'll shrink your space one gentle step at a time until you begin to believe the walls are your own choice. The cost of not seeing this clearly is subtle but heavy. The slow erosion of your confidence, the silent exchange of your freedom for their comfort, the gradual forgetting of your own voice. Stoic philosophy doesn't tell us to harden into mistrust. It tells us to train our perception, to strengthen the ground we stand on. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that people will act according to their nature, and our task is to act according to ours. In this video, we won't just learn to spot these subtle forms of harm, we'll learn how to remain untouched by them, to carry our calm like armor, and to keep our worth in our own hands where it belongs. It starts in a way you've seen before, maybe even lived through. You're in a meeting, the glow of your laptop screen casting a soft light across your desk. A colleague leans in, virtually through the smooth tone of a video call, and says, "You've really been doing great work lately." You thank them, feeling that small lift in your chest. But then, without breaking their smile, they add, "Of course, if you ran your ideas by me first, we could make sure they land the right way." It sounds harmless. It even sounds helpful. You click leave meeting and sit in the quiet for a moment, fingers still on the keyboard, wondering why the praise feels heavier than it should. In that instant, you may not realize it, but something subtle has shifted. You've just been handed an unspoken condition. Your value comes with a gatekeeper, and if you're not careful, you'll start reaching for their approval before you move, shrinking your own room to breathe. This is how the quietest harm begins. Not with a fight, but with a favor that comes with invisible strings. And it's the kind of harm we're about to name, so you can see it long before it weaves itself into your days. The velvet knife never arrives looking dangerous. It arrives wrapped in warmth, in an attention so focused it feels like sunlight just for you. At first, it's intoxicating. The late-night messages checking in, the compliments that seem to notice every little thing you do, the way they talk as if they've been waiting their whole life to meet someone like you. You feel seen, maybe even chosen, but the pattern is always the same. After flooding you with warmth, they pull back without warning. A day of silence, a cool reply where there was once fire. Then, just as you begin to wonder if you've done something wrong, the warmth returns, brighter, sweeter, more consuming than before. This isn't love. It's not even genuine care. It's a rhythm designed to train your nervous system to crave their approval, to live in the space between their presence and their absence. In time, you stop asking yourself if you enjoy being around them. You start asking yourself how to keep them from pulling away. A Stoic sees through this, not with suspicion, but with clarity. Epictetus warned that nothing can truly harm you unless you hand over the keys to your peace. So when the velvet knife leans close, offering both comfort and the threat of withdrawal, remember this: your worth doesn't live in their hands, and it never will. Take the gift if it's real, but never build your house on a tide that chooses when to rise and fall. The mirror bender is not content to disagree with you. They want to rewrite your reflection until you no longer trust what you see. They work in quiet revisions, twisting details just enough to make you question your own memory. You tell them about something that happened, and they tilt their head, smile softly, and say, "That's not how it went. You're remembering it wrong." At first, you brush it off, but over time, the corrections pile up. You start to wonder if maybe you do overreact. Maybe you're too sensitive. Maybe your version of events is never quite accurate. In the digital age, the mirror bender has sharper tools. They can omit part of a text thread before showing it to someone else, or forward only half an email to make you look careless. The damage is rarely loud. It's in the way you hesitate before speaking, the way you start to check their face to see if your reality is acceptable. Stoicism teaches that your mind is your most guarded fortress. And Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The same is true in reverse. If it is right, you need no one's permission to know it. And if it is true, you don't need their agreement to believe it. Keep your own records. Trust your own eyes. And never let someone else hold the only mirror you have. The gatekeeper of calm doesn't raise their voice or demand your obedience. Instead, they wrap their control in the language of care. "I just worry about you when you go out with those people. I don't think you should post that. It might give the wrong impression. You're safer if you stay close." Each sentence feels reasonable, even loving, and at first you take their concern as proof of devotion. But over time, you notice your world getting smaller. You decline invitations without thinking. You stop sharing parts of your life they might disapprove of. You begin to measure your choices not by what feels right to you, but by what will keep them calm. In a hyper-connected age, this control can stretch beyond the walls of a home, into your phone, your social feeds, the quiet guilt you feel when you spend time outside their orbit. It's not a chain you can see, but a weight you carry in your chest. Seneca warned that safety bought with the loss of freedom is no safety at all. A Stoic learns to thank genuine concern while still standing in their own authority. "I appreciate your care, but this decision is mine to make, and I'll take responsibility for it." Love that asks you to vanish piece by piece is not love. It's captivity dressed as protection, and you were not born to live inside someone else's comfort zone. The sympathy taxer wears the face of constant struggle. They reach for you not with open hands, but with stories heavy enough to bend your shoulders. At first, you listen because you care, because it feels human to comfort someone in pain. But soon you realize their pain is not a chapter, it's an identity. Every conversation circles back to how the world has wronged them, how no one understands, how they alone bear an impossible weight. And when your own life begins to rise, when you find momentum, clarity, or joy, they grow distant, or worse, subtly resentful. In the age of endless connection, they can fill your phone with a steady stream of dark updates, cryptic posts designed to pull you in, private messages that end with, "You're the only one I can talk to." The truth is, they don't want solutions. They want an audience. A Stoic heart knows that compassion without boundaries turns to self-destruction. Epictetus said a loving soul is not the one who carries every burden, but the one who knows which ones to set down. That's why your kindness must come with limits. 10 minutes to listen. A clear question: do you want comfort or change? before you dive in. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you refuse to go under with them. Your light cannot guide anyone if you let it burn out in the storm of someone else's endless night. The quiet collector doesn't storm into your life. They drift in, patient and unthreatening, like someone who simply enjoys your company. They ask thoughtful questions, nod in all the right places, make you feel safe enough to share more than you planned. They rarely speak much about themselves, but you don't notice because they've made you the center of every conversation. Over time, they gather pieces of you, your fears, your doubts, the names you trust, the memories you've never told anyone. In the digital world, they might scroll back years through your posts, liking old photos to open a channel, or connecting with your friends online before you realize. None of it feels dangerous until one day, those fragments reappear in a way that shifts the balance. A subtle reminder they know things you wouldn't want repeated, a quiet leverage that tilts the room in their favor. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that what we reveal is ours to guard, and once given away, it cannot be taken back. A Stoic chooses what to share as carefully as they choose what to keep, knowing that privacy is not secrecy, it's self-respect. So hold your stories like precious coins. Spend them only where trust has been proven, and never let curiosity disguised as kindness empty your hands. Here's the twist most people never see coming. Sometimes the most dangerous doorway into your life isn't built by them. It's left open by you. We think of subtle harm as something that slips in from the outside, carried by a person with hidden motives. But often, the real opening is in the habits we've let grow quietly inside. The need for constant approval, the reflex to explain ourselves, the habit of asking for permission to live. These patterns turn us into willing participants in our own shrinking. The velvet knife, the mirror bender, the gatekeeper of calm, the sympathy taxer, the quiet collector, they can only keep their hold if we keep playing our part. Stoicism calls this the discipline of perception, seeing not only the world clearly, but seeing ourselves without the fog of self-deception. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That means the immunity we seek is not just a shield against others. It's the quiet removal of the hooks we carry within. Because once we stop handing them a place to anchor, their power dissolves. And what's left is not paranoia, but freedom. Step one is name it. You can't defend against what you refuse to recognize. Subtle harm thrives in the shadows, feeding on your hesitation to call it what it is. When you label a behavior, manipulation, gaslighting, emotional control, you pull it into the light where it can no longer masquerade as kindness. Marcus Aurelius urged himself to see things as they are, stripping away the legend that encrusts them. Naming is that stripping away. So the next time a comment leaves you feeling smaller, pause and say to yourself, "This is an attempt to shrink my ground." That clarity is the first layer of immunity. Step two is quiet boundary. Not every defense needs to be loud or confrontational. The strongest walls are sometimes the ones people don't realize they've hit until they try to cross. A quiet boundary can be as simple as withholding personal details from someone who hasn't earned your trust, or ending a conversation when it veers into manipulation. Seneca taught that true freedom comes not from fighting every battle, but from choosing which ones are worth your breath. Step three is self-talk replacement. Harmful influence often works by turning your inner voice against you. You start to think, maybe they're right about me, until your mind becomes their echo. Replace it deliberately. My value is not negotiated. My reality is not up for approval. Say it until it feels as natural as breathing. Step four is the 23-second micropause. When something stings, your first instinct is to react, to defend, to explain, to strike back. But a Stoic knows the gap between impulse and action is where power lives. Count to 23 before you speak, type, or respond. In that space, emotion cools and clarity returns. Step 5 is identity choice. This is where all the other steps lead to a decision about who you are when the world presses in. You can be the person who bends with every opinion or the one who moves like a mountain in the wind. The choice is yours every time. Choose the identity that guards your peace, because once that's decided, every other decision becomes easier. Emotional immunity isn't about building walls so high that no one can reach you. It's about strengthening the ground beneath your feet so you can stand steady, even when the wind turns cold. Think of it like a security system running quietly in the background. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to explain it. But it's always on, scanning for what doesn't belong, blocking the code that could corrupt your inner life. Each of the 5 types we've explored, the velvet knife, the mirror bender, the gatekeeper of calm, the sympathy taxer, the quiet collector, are only dangerous if your defenses are down. When you can name them, set quiet boundaries, rewire your self-talk, pause before reacting, and root yourself in your chosen identity. Their reach stops at the edge of your awareness. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that people will act according to their nature. Your task is to act according to yours. And if your nature is anchored in clarity, steadiness, and self-respect, nothing they bring can take you off course. That's the essence of emotional immunity. It's not a fight to win, it's a strength to keep. If even one sentence in this lesson gave you a clearer way to protect your peace, keep it close. Carry it into your next conversation, your next decision, your next quiet moment alone. And if you know someone who might be walking through the same invisible traps, share this with them. Not as a warning to fear people, but as a reminder that their calm can be their strongest armor. The next time you feel the pull to explain yourself, to seek approval you don't need, pause and remember, your worth was never theirs to measure. In our next Stoic lesson, we'll go deeper into what I call emotional firewalls, 7 boundaries that run silently in the background, protecting you without costing you connection. Until then, guard the ground you stand on. Let your presence be steady enough to outlast the storm and quiet enough to hear the sound of your own voice, clear and unshaken. You've now seen the 5 subtle types of people who can erode your confidence without ever raising their voice. The velvet knife, the mirror bender, the gatekeeper of calm, the sympathy taxer, and the quiet collector. You've learned the 5 steps of emotional immunity: name it, quiet boundary, self-talk replacement, the 23-second micro-pause, and identity choice. Together, they form more than just a defense. They form a way of moving through the world without handing over your peace to anyone. The truth is, these patterns will always exist in some form, in some face. You can't erase them from the world, but you can keep them from taking root in you. That is your work, and it's work worth doing. So carry these steps into your life. Let them become as natural as breathing, until no subtle cut can draw more than a surface scratch, until no quiet manipulation can make you doubt who you are. Because the measure of your strength isn't how loudly you fight, but how steadily you stand when the test comes. Guard your mind, guard your heart, and remember, calm is not weakness, and silence is not surrender. They are the ground you choose to stand on, unshaken no matter the storm.